So welcome to the Amazing Food and Drink Summit. And today I'm absolutely delighted and indeed honoured to have Jordan Bailey from Aimsir Restaurant. And Jordan is the head chef and indeed the co-owner. Welcome to Amazing Food and Drink, Jordan.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Great to have you. So Jordan, start by telling us a wee bit about yourself, please.
So from Cornwall. So I started working down in a few different restaurants down in Cornwall. Then moved up to Devon to work in a Michelin star restaurant there. Did a few competitions representing England and the UK. Then headed up to Nottingham to go work at a 2 Michelin star restaurant called Sat Bains. Incredible experience, lots of kind of, working with the farmers and things like that, and kind of just took everything to a whole new level. And then decided I wanted to go work abroad. So kind of teed up a lot of different places throughout the world. But a place that grabbed my attention was a place in Norway. Never been to Norway. I didn't know anyone who had been to Norway. So it's kind of very mysterious. There wasn't too much known about the restaurant at the time. But it was a 2 Michelin star restaurant called Maaemo. So moved there, didn't have a job interview or anything, just kind of accepted me off the back of my CV. And then, progressed through the ranks very, very quickly. Went in there as chef de partie, and then progressed to head chef there within about 9 months, I think it was. So very fast. And then after a year of being there, the restaurant gained 3 Michelin stars. So very, very cool thing to be a part of. Then after that, kind of got everything that I wanted to get out of the restaurant. Did a lot of development work while I was there, and then thought, right, well, I don't want to do it for anybody else anymore. I want to go do it for myself. So started exploring lots of different options kind of around the world, with my wife, who is the general manager of the restaurant as well. She's also a sommelier. And then, Ireland came up on the cards. It's the first place that actually came up. And at the time in Norway, my sous chef was Irish. So he, over the past couple of years, been telling me, how amazing Ireland is and how good the produce is, but kind of how no one's taken it to a level that we were doing in Norway, say, and kind of put that spin on it. Only using kind of produce from that country and only that country. It's a very kind of unique kind of mindset to put yourself into. Mm-hmm. So that intrigued me, and that it was an island was very kind of unique. That you literally, that is the limit of the island. There is no kind of kind of a bit blurry borders or whatever. It's very black and white. And myself being English and my wife being Danish, it was a good kind of proximity between the two families. We was getting offers, in Asia, in Australia, places like this. But it's just too far, to make something, to get the best out of everything. And, it's going to take a long time, to do what we want to achieve somewhere, so it has to be right for us, as well. Yeah. And of course, like I said, the sous chef at the time, said how amazing the produce was, but no one really kind of took it as far as what he thought it could go, and kind of really delve in deep, and kind of go out and speak to all the suppliers and do what we was doing in Norway, basically. It was a very kind of unique way of thinking. And then, so we opened up in 2019 in May. And then 4 months later, or 4.5 months later, we were awarded 2 Michelin stars, which we think is the fastest, definitely in England and the UK, but potentially globally as well, yeah.
Absolutely phenomenal. So to be honest, I think we have done you proud with our produce, but you've done us proud with 2 Michelin stars. Absolutely amazing. And in 4 months, unheard of.
Yeah, truly is.
Tell me, did you bring your sous chef with you? Did he come home?
No, he's gone off and done his own thing. So he took my position after I left, and he's actually stuck around in Norway. He obviously, find a girl, you stay there. So he wasn't coming. But no, I took another chef from there actually, who was a chef de partie at the time. So he was actually the first person I employed here. And we did like a little pop-up and developed the opening menu together. And actually he was with me for about 2 years, and then beginning of lockdown, he went back to Sweden to go live with his girlfriend, and now he's come back again, and now he's in the gardens.
Brilliant.
He's managing all our vegetables and stuff as well, which is really, really cool.
Brilliant. So, pardon this terrible pun, but you've given us a flavour of Aimsir. But what is Aimsir? What does Aimsir actually mean? Is it a Danish word? Is it an Irish word? What does it mean?
Yeah, so Aimsir is an Irish word. So directly it means weather, but it can also mean time, which then kind of can correspond into like seasons. So like I kind of briefly touched on, we are only using produce just from Ireland, so we don't use, anything like, olive oils, citrus fruits, chocolates, all the stuff that chefs, just grab without even thinking, and we kind of take it a step further where, we won't use anything from a polytunnel unless it can grow outside the polytunnel. So we have polytunnels here on the property, but we know if we take that polytunnel away, it's still going to grow. It's just going to give us a little bit, a couple of weeks either end and help us, generate enough food to supply the restaurant. So because effectively, you could grow lemons and chilies and peppers and all this other, exotic stuff. But then it kind of blurs of kind of what we're trying to do. So yeah, coming up with a name, just wanted to find a name, one word that summarized everything that we were doing. And I think it kind of touches on a few different things, obviously seasons, because, we have to follow them truly. We can't, quickly dip into Spain and get a few bits from there, then follow the seasons as they go through the countries. Like once it's ready in Ireland, we use it, and only at its best. So it's very, very kind of micro seasons. Instead of, following the countries, we have to follow the counties up. So yeah, that makes it super unique. And also like, the first thing anyone says to anyone is, they always talk about the weather. Do you know what I mean? I think it's a thing that people do in every country, it's kind of, it's a very common thing to talk about. So I like that as well. I thought that was really cool. And weather changes everything, your mood and the way how you feel about everything, it can kind of set you off on a good day or a bad day. So I don't know, it kind of looked nice and it sounded nice. And I like that people don't know how to say it. You have to think about it, and I like that. And then, so Aimsir in itself, we're a very, very small restaurant. Currently right now, under obviously the government restrictions and all that kind of stuff, we only do 16 people. We only have 6 tables, but even out of COVID, we was maxing out about 22. And we think we're only going to go back to about 20. I know it doesn't sound too much, but it makes a big difference in a small restaurant. And we have a bar as well, which is, you can probably see behind me. So they follow the same ethos as the restaurant. So they only use things from Ireland. So like I said, lemons and limes and all this stuff, the people that, so we got a guy here, Kevin, who runs our bar. He's a mixologist. You really have to get into the same philosophy of what we do. If you can't do that, then you won't be able to create anything, So luckily, Kevin loves foraging and, coming out with us and experimenting with lots of new different things. So it was a very natural space for him to be in. We do 18 courses. So you start off with lots of nice little snacky bits, and then it kind of gets a little bit bigger and you get into more protein heavy stuff, and then finish on all the sweet stuff. And we're set on beautiful grounds. We're actually on the grounds of a hotel, but we run the restaurant independently. So everything's handled in South by ourselves. It's kind of a perfect relationship where obviously our guests can stay in the rooms, which right now is keeping this business alive. Because, under the government restrictions, only guests who are staying can eat inside. Like we have beautiful grounds, but the food that we do, you can't really do outside, you know, because people will be sitting there for 3.5, 4 hours, you know, and they won't be finished till, you know, 11 o'clock at night, you know, and it's not that nice to sit out, and we don't really have the space. Like literally in front of me here is, we have big windows coming out, but then it's an orchard straight there. So I suppose you could be kind of a bit romantic and put people in amongst all the trees and things, but it's not practical.
Yeah.
So luckily, yeah, we can use the rooms, but then we also get access to all the gardens. And like I just said, you know, 2 of my former chefs actually have taken over the gardens. So we get to use everything from the garden. So it's kind of, they don't take anything from us, but we can take everything from them. So it's kind of a perfect relationship, to be honest.
Brilliant.
And it's a beautiful setting.
And I'm really interested to understand how you ended up in lovely Kildare there. When, you know, if I'm thinking about a Michelin starred, particularly a 2 Michelin starred restaurant, I'm going to Dublin.
Yep.
How did you end up in Kildare?
Yeah, so I think kind of briefly what I touched on, me and Michelin sat down. We was very fortunate to get a lot of offers after deciding to leave Norway. So we could choose, you know, we could be a bit more picky. So we kind of made a list personal to ourselves, you know, so we had to be within kind of an 1.5, 2 hour flight distance from both families, you know, in England and in Denmark. So that got rid of, you know, a lot of countries further afield. But a big one was we wanted to be close to a city, but not in a city. For me, you know, growing up in Cornwall and Maiken growing up in the south of Denmark, you know, we're not huge city people, but we do, you know, of course we like to use it, and it's very beneficial for a business of our nature to be close to a city.
Yeah.
But for me and Maiken, you know, we spend all of our time, all of our free time when we have it, you know, out in nature and, you know, going out exploring and foraging, and that's where I get all my ideas from. So to be stuck in a city, you know, like Dublin or London, where a lot of offers were coming from, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
So to be somewhere in like Kildare or any other surrounding counties around it is perfect. You know, like right where we are now, you know, I could be 25 minutes, I'm in the middle of Dublin, you know, 25 minutes the other way, I could be up in a mountain, you know, but 25 minutes the other way, I could be in a forest. So it's kind of a perfect location, to be honest, for us anyway.
And do you get many customers from the likes of Dublin?
Yeah, I'd say probably 50% are probably from Dublin. Obviously because we're so close to it. But what I like about it is we are far enough that if they want to travel out and then go back at the end of the meal, they can.
Yeah.
We're also just that far enough that they feel like they would like to stay. And I think that's kind of what we wanted people to do, because we want people to invest into the whole experience. You know, I like that people can't just walk into our restaurant, sit down. They don't really know what we're about. They don't really understand it or whatever. You know, I like people that they kind of, you know, they have to research a bit about us. They have to kind of find out about us. You know, it's you know, we're very fortunate that it's quite hard to get a booking. So they have to make that initial investment to get into the restaurant, you know, so they buy into the whole experience, you know, because, you know, it's a lot goes on behind the scenes, you know, right now we have more staff than guests at the minute, you know, so there's a lot of moving parts that, you know, aren't seen by the guest, which is good, you know, but it's, you know, it's all these little details that make a big difference. And I'd say the other kind of 50% is split between all the other counties, but mainly a lot of people around where we are here in Kildare. You know, it's quite an affluent area. And when we opened up, it was mainly filled with people from Kildare and obviously a little bit of Dublin. It was almost like a 50-50 split. And everyone around where we are here, they're like, oh my God, we're so thankful you guys are set up out here, because it means we don't have to travel into Dublin now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, they literally get a taxi. So yeah, they were thrilled, and, you know, and it's nice to have that, you know, we still like to keep that kind of, you know, keep all the locals happy, you know, and, you know, because they're the ones that also help us fill our tables, that if we do, you know, are unlucky to get a cancellation, you know, we can give them a call. And if they don't want to take the table, then they will run around all their friends. And it's just a really, really, really nice feeling, you know, that you have that support from them.
And do you find that that's being in Ireland is very similar to being in Cornwall, where, you know, people know everyone in Ireland. Like, honestly, you're 2 phone calls away from the president. You're 2 phone calls away from anybody. Is
Yeah.
it the same in Cornwall?
It's exactly the same, yeah. And I think that's why when I came here, because before coming here to look at the location, I'd never been to Ireland before. And I fell in love with it instantly because it did remind me of being back in Cornwall, you know, not just the landscape's very similar, especially down in Cork and places like that. It's exactly the same. But it was more about the people, you know, like you said, everybody knows everybody. And when I was over here checking out the location, I still don't know to the day. I should probably ask them, but I had phone calls from other chefs in Ireland saying, you know, if you need a hand with suppliers or show you foraging spots or whatever, you know, I was like, how did you get my number? I was like, my parents don't even know that I'm here. And how do you know? Like it was crazy, but it was also, it was very nice. You know, it's a nice feeling to feel like you're welcome. You know, I don't think you get that as much in other countries.
That's actually making me feel immensely proud. I'm getting goosebumps listening to that. Honestly, that's brilliant because it's just so Irish. You know, I was actually talking to a friend of mine the other day and saying exactly the same thing. You know, if I don't know him, someone else will know him, and within 2 phone calls, you've got the person you need. It's absolutely amazing. It really is. And I'm glad you feel like that too. So tell me, I was on your website actually, and I'm looking, and you're talking about experience. So what are Aimsir experiences? What are they about?
So we have.
I'm sure.
Sorry.
I said, I'm sure. Sorry, I
Yeah.
did it incorrectly.
So yeah, we have a few different types of experiences. So the main ones is obviously just the tasting menu. You know, it's the 18 courses. We also do where we can pair up with an alcoholic pairing and a non-alcoholic pairing. So the alcoholic pairing could be, you know, a mix of different, you know, wines, red, white, rosé. We also have beer on there from local breweries, different kind of sweet wines, and even Irish wine as well. So it's a whole kind of eclectic mix of different things depending on what goes with the food in each course. And then also we have the non-alcoholic, which is all the stuff we make in-house. You know, it could be you know, different juices or different fermentations that we've been working on, you know, from kombuchas and things like this, to things that we can source in around the garden and out foraging. And then also, you know, like I said before, you know, we pair up with different rooms and things like that to make it more of an experience. And so people stay over and, you know, we offer obviously breakfast in the hotel. And then we're looking to extend this whole experience. So now that we've got Tom and Stina, our 2 gardeners on board, they've been with us for the last 3 months now. You know, we've expanded the gardens down the back. We've actually taken over another 2 acres of growing space. And it's a huge project that we're doing there. And it's coming to the end of being finished now. I'd say another probably month, 6 weeks, it'll all be done. And what we're looking to do is add on like a garden tour. You know, so, you know, you check in, the guys will then take you out on a garden tour. So we have like raised beds and an orchard right in front of the restaurant. And then down the back, we have the polytunnels and the more gardens down the back. So they'll kind of walk you through that, give you things to taste and point out things that, you know, will be a part of the meal later on. And just trying to build that story, you know, and get people to understand where things come from, you know, and the amount of effort that we do. You know, we're not just, you know, half the stuff we use in the restaurant, you know, we don't buy from a supplier. You know, we plant it from seed and we grow it, and, you know, it takes 3 months to get into the kitchen, you know. So it's kind of, again, it's just kind of just building on to that story. So yeah, they're the kind of different experiences that we have, and, you know, we're always looking to expand them. You know, we're looking to, we have a very talented restaurant manager and sommelier, who we're going to look to kind of do, you know, maybe different wine tastings and things like that as well throughout the day. We're looking to, yeah, extend the restaurant and go up and do like a development kitchen, kind of private dining room area. Again, very small, like 8-10 seats. You know, we can have like a wine cellar and things like that, you know. So again, we're just trying to, you know, just try and make the most out of it, you know.
Brilliant. It sounds really intimate. And see, on the summit so far, I've spoken to a number of people, that have said provenance is really important, okay, as you have done yourself, but yours is really unique. I mean, I don't think there's any other restaurant in Ireland, certainly that I know of, that's just using the ingredients from this island. I mean, that is truly unique. Bar the wine, of course. I mean, it's the food, but you need to get wine from somewhere else. But it's amazing. I mean, I've never heard of that. I have heard of obviously provenance and trying to use local as much as possible. Is there anyone else who's doing this even around the world?
Yeah, around the world it's very big in Scandinavia. I think definitely the Danish started off, and I presume a lot of other restaurants were doing it before in other countries. But I think the Danish definitely started off that whole movement of using like hyper local and only using from their own country. To the extent that we do it, for example, a place like Noma, they're very regimented in where they do it. And again, in Norway, when I went to Maaemo, again, very, very strict with it. And the reason, other than just, supporting, the local suppliers and, kind of, showing, your country to the world and what you can offer in terms of, cuisine and food. And, what it also does is, it forces the chef to be a lot more creative. And I think that's one of the biggest parts why I did it, is because I've worked in restaurants in the past where they did take anything from anywhere, which I'm not saying is good or bad. That's completely down to them. But for me, I just found it very confusing. And it's almost like a kid walking into a candy shop with every sweet in the world. And like, you've got to try and pick 5 of them to eat. Like it's impossible. You have a meltdown. Whereas if you've just been given 10, and you got to choose 5, it's a lot easier. But then again, but it also forces you to be a lot more creative, because you can't just, if you need acidity in a dish, you can't just reach for a lemon, and squeeze it in. You have to think, okay, well, where am I going to get that from? Do I use green strawberries or gooseberries or pickles or kombucha or whatever, So it just makes you think a little bit outside the box, which I like.
It's brilliant. Yeah, I'm thinking Aimsir actually epitomizes what we're trying to do with the Summit and Amazing Food and Drink. We're trying to extol the virtues of Irish food and drink, and you are absolutely the epitome of that. So it's really good that you're on the Summit. I was just thinking, you're creating fine dining experiences. Do you think that's important for the industry? Do you think it's important for Ireland, for the customers? Talk a wee bit about that.
Yeah, 100%. I think if I didn't think it's important, I don't think I'll be doing it. Yeah. I think no matter what industry you're in, you need people and companies that will push the boundaries, and in a fine dining atmosphere, you are those people that are doing that. You think about every single detail and you push it to the max, and just see how far you can get, and then all that stuff trickles down into the other restaurants. So, I think it's very, very important, and what I like about it is that, it's very immersive, it's a very, it's almost like a escapism for guests when they come here. They're very invested into the whole experience, and I think that's very important, especially in the, in the world that we're in now. It's just nice to forget about everything that's going on and just focus on the food and your company. And it's just what I love to do. It's very different from other restaurants. I've worked in casual restaurants, and I do love that style of food. It's the places where I go to eat. Yeah. The weekends. But where I feel most comfortable is pushing it, and taking all these incredible ingredients, and kind of really thinking about it very differently, and giving something to somebody that no one's really seen before.
Yeah, and what you're offering is truly different. I mean, how many more 2 Michelin-star restaurants do we have in Ireland?
2.
Yeah, there couldn't be many. Have we any 3?
No.
So I'm going to come to that later. So I'll ask you about that later on. So talk to us about the challenges that you've faced so far, Jordan. Setting up the business, maybe not so much about what's going on recently, but just setting up and even getting the word out and that sort of stuff? How did you market yourself?
Yeah, so so half the restaurant, well, the restaurant was already there as an existing building, but it was a cookery school before, so we had to gut it all out, redesign it all, and then the bit that I'm sitting in now is the bar area, which is all brand new. So myself and my wife designed everything, or at least we knew we had a picture of how we kind of roughly wanted it to look like, and we got, you know, someone very talented to kind of put all those ideas on paper. Yeah. So, you know, it starts off very romantic, and, you know, it's very creative at the start. You know, you're building your dream, all these ideas that you've collected over the years, you know, put them all into one space. You know, as the build goes on, like it does get a lot more stressful. It kind of loses that romantic edge. You fall out of love with it a little bit. Yeah. But you know, it'll all be worth it in the end. You know, and we was meant to open up in summer 2018. And like I mentioned earlier, you know, we didn't open up until May 2019. So constantly being delayed and delayed and delayed, to the point where it's like, we just have to open up the bookings, which we did obviously in May. It only gave us 1 week before opening. Well, 1 week before opening, that the kitchen was finished, that we can actually get in there and start doing some things. But literally up until about half an hour before the restaurant opened, we had builders in there still, you know, which was hard, you know, especially because we wanted to hit it at a high level from day one, you know. So that was very tough, you know, and even setting up the restaurant, you know, to find staff was kind of hard, you know, to get the core team. You know, I reached out to a few people and we got some really good people in. But because obviously it's a brand new restaurant, you know, the people are just going off my background and where I've worked. So that was a little bit difficult. And also sourcing a few different items for the restaurant, because we wanted to use as much Irish materials and craftspeople as much as possible within the restaurant. So, you know, things like plates and stuff like that, you know, we wanted to get within Ireland. But yeah, even that was quite difficult. You know, there's a lot of potters in Ireland, but not too many want to work with you and go out of their comfort zone to do something a bit more unique. You know, they want to make, you know, that one cup in that one glaze, yeah, for the rest of their life, which is fair enough. And if that's what's making, you know, if they're happy doing that, albeit. But I wanted someone who, you know, can make 25 different plates in 25 different colors, you know. And I found them on page 32 of a Google search. So it's getting very, just constantly clicking and searching.
There goes to page 32 of a Google search. Fair play, Jordan.
You know, it went up that far. But yeah, as you can hear, I was getting very, very desperate. I think it was early in the morning as well. And I was like, I've got to find somebody. And I came across this page. It was just a single homepage. And it was just a picture of husband and wife and their kids, and one of the kids holding a chicken, saying that, you know, they make plates and stuff like this, and they're based down in Kerry. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm actually planning to go down there at that weekend. So we took a trip down there, and it was amazing. We stayed in the studio for a couple of nights, and we sat down with them and we designed all these different plates. And yeah, and now they're very successful. You know, they were doing that job part-time, as a hobby, basically. And now they've both quit their jobs and done it full-time, and they're flat out. And now they're producing some incredible plates for a lot of very, very, very good restaurants throughout Ireland and international as well. So it's kind of a cool story. But that was getting a little bit tedious. And I was like, I don't want to go outside of Ireland, but it's getting to the point where
you had to.
I was almost going to have to. Yeah, and then after we opened, I think the hardest thing was kind of managing people's expectations. You know, we had obviously very, very, very high expectations of ourselves. And obviously, given my background and my wife's background, you know, expectations were very high from day one. So like I said, you know, with the builders being here half an hour before, you know, that part was very stressful. You know, we had some very big voices in the press coming in that first day and week and the following weeks. Every night for the first month, we had somebody big, you know, whether it be within Ireland or international. So that was very nerve-wracking. And obviously, you know, given the current climate, you know, obviously things have changed dramatically, you know, and everyone's had to kind of, you know, do things a lot different to how they used to.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So how are you marketing yourselves?
Initially,
this is your chance to plug it. So tell me where we can find you.
Yeah, so mainly, to be honest, obviously, you know, we have a website, so aimsir.ie, AIMSIR. We use Instagram a lot. That's kind of where we show kind of all the progress we're doing through the restaurant. So yeah, which is, what is that actually? Aimsir_restaurant, maybe? It's not something I look at every day. You type in Aimsir, it'll come up somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we kind of share all the different, you know, the day-to-day runnings of the restaurant on that. And also, you know, any last minute kind of cancellations and things, we use that a lot, you know, and it's very, very helpful. It's a very key bit of, it's a key tool for us, and it sells out tables in seconds sometimes, which is amazing.
Brilliant.
And every month, on the first of every month at 12 o'clock, that's when we release bookings. So we release bookings 3 months in advance, and we sell up very quick. Everyone thinks that we give all the tables away to friends and family, and at the time we just don't have anybody. But no, they sell out in seconds. You know, we have hundreds, sometimes thousands of people at 12 o'clock trying to click on, which is crazy. And you know, we're very, very thankful for that. And it's been like that since day one. And, you know, hopefully it never ends.
What an amazing complaint, eh?
Yeah. So no, it's very good. You know, we're very thankful, but also that, you know, it does cause problems, you know. Yeah. You know, people, you know, may give up over time because they can't get a table, because we are only 6 tables, you know. So that's why things sell up very, very fast. You know, and, you know, a lot of people do want to come here, and, you know, things do sell out. And when you have hundreds of people trying to click on the same time, like, it does fill up, you know, and doing 16 people for 4 nights a week from Wednesday to Saturday, it's not that many people. So no, we don't give all the tables away to friends and family like some people like to think. I wish I had that many friends and family, but I don't, unfortunately.
You will soon, once anyone sees this. So tell us a wee bit about your successes. So we know we've got the 2 Michelin stars. What else has gone really well for you? Talk about that. Blow your trumpet.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, over the last, 18 months, 2 years, it's kind of, everything's quieting down. You know, there's been no awards, there's been nothing, you know. So, but we was, you know, we had been nominated for lots of different things, but those awards haven't taken place yet. So yeah. I actually don't know what's going on with them. So yeah, nothing really to report about in the last kind of, 18 months, you know. It's crazy.
For obvious reasons,
yeah, you know, and it's crazy to think, like, you know, since we've been open until now, we've actually been closed more than we've been open.
Oh my.
Which is, it makes you sick thinking about it, but, you know. So yeah, and you know, the restaurant's still incredibly young, you know. We've technically only been trading for about a year, even though we've, you know, should have been open, you know, almost 2.5 years now. So no, hopefully now things are starting to open back up again. You know, I'll be able to tell you a lot more things. So
this is the question you ask everyone, the $64 million one. What's the future for Aimsir? Is there expansion? Are you coming north? What are you going to do?
Yeah, no plans to come north yet. But it is a very, very beautiful part of the world. And, you know, I've been up there many, many of times. But no, like I briefly touched on it earlier. So, you know, we want to extend. So basically above the bar here, we have, it's a beautiful site that we're looking to potentially build like a development kitchen, kind of private dining room area, tie in a bit of a wine cellar as well, which will actually be above us, which is a bit unique. You know, normally you go down into a basement, into a wine cellar, but it's going to be above us. So we're looking to expand that way, and just make a few small changes within the restaurant over the next kind of year, 18 months. But I think we'll make a big difference into the whole kind of experience that we're looking to offer. But no plans yet to go outside of where we are yet. Not to say that, you know, I wouldn't love to do that. You know, fine dining is, you know, the primary thing that I love to do, but, you know, I do like to eat other things and do other things as well, you know. So I would, you know, down the line, I would like to kind of tap into some of that as well, you know, and kind of explore kind of different options in that way. So yeah, lots of exciting things coming up. And, you know, like I said, the gardens as well, we're looking to, well, we have extended down to the back, you know, which is a huge investment and a massive part of what we're doing here.
Brilliant. And out of interest, what's the name of the hotel that the restaurant grounds are in?
Clifford Lions.
Yeah, I've actually heard of that.
Yeah.
And it's a lovely part of the world down there. It really is a lovely part of the world. So look, all's left for me to say is I can't wait to get down. And I you know, I've got your number now, so you're in trouble, Jordan. So I won't put the top of that queue.
No worries, we can figure something out.
Well, listen, honest to God, thank you so much for being part of the summit. That was amazing. And what an amazing story. And from Amazing Food and Drink, we wish you all the best in the future, Jordan.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.